Video, we're going to do a demo of the correct solutions for homework 2, H2, and getting started. So we're going to start with a demo of what the correct solutions are supposed to look like when they run, and then get started. Okay, so I'm going to run the solutions and not show you all of the code. When you check out so first we'll show you what it's going to look like when you check out. There's a README file that points you to some resources. I'll talk about that a little bit later. There will be a link to this video, and there will be 5 Python files. And each Python file gives a description of what you're supposed to do and an example transcript. This one here says the program is supposed to ask, why do we have to do this? It takes an answer. It does nothing with the answer. The program asks why again, and then says okay. And this is an example transcript where the program printed this part. The user typed this part. The program printed y. The user typed this. The program typed y. The user typed this. Then the program printed this. These parts where the program printed something and then the user typed something, those are input statements. And then this is just going to be a print. So we'll get to some hints on that, but first I want to just demo what the correct solutions to all of these look like, so you can refer back to this as you're working on the programs. Okay, so we'll start with that one. Why do we have to do this? And no matter what I type here, it asks why again. So this is an input statement. This is another input statement, and it doesn't matter what I type, it's going to ask why again. And then finally it says okay. All right, so that's the first one. That's what your program's supposed to do. If you run it, it should look exactly like this, including capitalization and everything. Okay, so the second program in alphabetical order is converting between kilograms and pounds. Asking me for a number, and it's going to do the conversion both ways. And the conversion factor that it's using, if you type in 1, this is the conversion factor that it's using. So you want to use that conversion factor in your program. So this is an input statement, and then converting this 1 to a floating point number. And then this is a print statement with a formula. And this is a print statement with another formula. So 1 pound is this many kilograms, 1 kilogram is this many pounds. And if you put in other numbers, it's just multiplying by this conversion factor for the first part and then dividing by that conversion factor for the second part. You may notice that I'm running these programs by doing this. I'll show you that at the end, but it's the same if I run the Python program just like we're used to doing. Okay, so right now I'm just showing you how they're supposed to work. The next one is supposed to be quizzing you on the most abundant elements in the Earth's crust. And there's a link in the file about what the correct list is. This is an input statement. It's not going to do anything with the input, with what I typed, but it is going to tell me the answer. So the most common element in the Earth's crust by mass is oxygen. The next most is silicon. The next most after that, I don't know. So I could click through these, and this is by mass. And it goes through the top 10. Okay, so you can quiz yourself on the list of the top 10 most abundant by mass in the Earth's crust. Okay, next program is how many. I can run it like that, as we'll see in a minute, or I can run it like this. Okay, it's going to ask me for a number of years, days, minutes, and seconds. So I'm going to say 1 year, 0 days, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And that tells me, okay, so this amount of time is 1 year. It's 365 days. 1 year is this many minutes, and this many seconds. That's about 3 million. 31 million. Okay, let's run it, and now I'll give it 0 years, 1 day, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So 1 day is 0.0027 years, this many minutes, this many seconds. If I put 1 year and 1 day, that is 365 days, and it's a bit more minutes than what I got on the first one. So what this program is doing is it's taking all of this, calculating how many seconds that is total, and then printing out this total amount of time, how many years is it, how many days, and so on. So if I run it with 0, 0, 1 minute, and 0 seconds, there's the 1 minute is 60 seconds, and 1 minute is this fraction of a day, and this fraction of a year. Okay, that's the second program. Okay, so the next one is how many. No, that's the one that we just did. Okay, the next one is math operations. It's going to ask me for 2 integers, and it is asking me what is 4 plus 2 equal, and it wants me to just press enter, so this is like a quiz. So 4 plus 2 is 6, and now it told me the answer is 6. Now it's asking me to subtract them, and then it will tell me the answer, and then it's asking me to multiply them, and the answer, divide them, and the answer, this is integer division, so rounding down gives the same answer here, and the remainder after dividing. So let's put in 7 and 2. All right, now when I divide, there's a difference between floating point division and integer division. Floating point division, we get 3.5. Integer division, we get 3 because it's rounding down. And then the remainder is 1. Okay, so that's how all the programs are supposed to work. Now we're going to go over into a class account. So this is my class account, and I'm going to check out the assignment. Okay, I check out the assignment, it copies all of those files, and now let's go ahead and look at them. I need to go into my H2 directory. Okay, so in my H2 directory, it gives me just this, and now I need to put in my code. This thing with, so these with pound are comments, this with 3 single quotes is a multi-line string, and it's a way to give a bunch of text that the program is going to ignore. This is a string, it's just going to ignore it because I'm not doing anything with it. Okay, so I can just leave that where it is, and then the first thing I'm going to do is this. So that's supposed to be an input. All right, they're going to type something. The second thing I want to do is this. And the same thing again. And then finally, I'm going to do this. All right, so this might be a correct solution. I'm going to try it out. to see whether it looks like it's going to be correct. Looks okay. All right. This assignment has a check feature enabled, so it will actually check whether my answers are correct by running your program. So when I run the check program, I'm inside of my directory. It says annoying passed. There was one check, and it passed the check. And what that did was it ran this program to check the output. Let's change it a bit here. Let's say that I wasn't paying attention to my capitalization. Okay, so when I run this, is the check going to think it is correct? So should I consider lowercase w to be the same as uppercase W? Because the correct program is using exactly this. Let's see what the check says. It says it's okay. So for that check, it's allowing differences in case. Let's see about what else we can get away with here. Let's say we say YY. Should that be correct? Probably not. And here we have, it says output of program is not correct. This was all the things that my program printed. It doesn't have what the user would have typed there. It's just my print statements. And then this is what the correct program printed. So you have to, if that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, then you just ask. All right, but so, yep. All right, and for the rest of these, we haven't worked on them yet, and it actually knows that those programs haven't changed at all, so it didn't even run tests on them. Okay, and the reason, so let's go ahead and put this back to be correct again. Okay, so the check program wants this line to be there, and what this line does, it's a comment. So when you try to run your program with Python 3, if you type Python 3 annoying, when you type enter on that, since it's a pound, which is a comment in Python, Python will ignore it. But when I go like this, then the terminal program will go and look. So when it sees pound exclamation point, it goes and looks for this program. So that's where Python 3 is installed on the server. It's going to go and run this program to interpret this code. So this is just a way to tell the terminal that this is a Python 3 program, which allows us to run it like this, which is a little bit less typing, and also that's the way the check program wants it to be. All right, so as you work on your assignment, you can run check and see whether you've passed. And you need to pay attention to the details. So if you have a spelling mistake, it's going to tell you that you're wrong. Let's take a look at convert. So we have the conversion factor right there. When you get started here, this is going to be an input, and you want to copy and paste that for your input. You're going to save the answer and convert it to a floating point, and then you want to print something like this, and this is where you want to go ahead and look at, if you haven't already, the online section. I created this assignment, so it's based off the examples that I gave for the online section. You can look at the programs that are kind of similar here, and there's a convert program there, miles to kilometers. So this is one where it asked for miles, there's a conversion factor, and then it printed out the answer. And you can look at that. You can also go and browse to it on the server to try it, to run it. So let's see if we can do that. So now I want to do Python 3 miles to kilometers. Let's see, 1 mile is that many kilometers, and that's kind of this was called convert. So that's the kind of print statement that we want there, that we had here. So you can look and do something similar to this. You have to pay attention to where there's spaces or not. Just try it out to see. And if you wanted to copy this file as your starting point, you could, I'm sitting in that directory right here, copy convert weight.py h2, and maybe I'll just put it right there. Convert, oh, it's called miles to kilometers. And I'll copy it into my h2 directory. Go back to my h2 directory, and then maybe I will copy and paste this as my starting point. I'll go below this so I have a record there, and I'm going to change this to do this. Now there's going to be, let's see, there's going to be one input statement. That's one input statement. There's two print statements here. So first get the first one to look right, and then you'll get the second one. All right, if I run my check now, it says my convert weight is not correct. This is what my output was. This is what the reference output was on, it doesn't say what the input is there. Okay, so but it says that mine is wrong, and it was the 1 there on that one, because I didn't change from the miles to kilometers, so I need to change it to do the pounds and kilograms. And then there's more, so it runs it on multiple different test cases, and it was wrong on all of them. It just printed the details on one of them. Math operations is incomplete still. I haven't worked on it. Annoying Y is still okay. And then the other ones. Okay, so let's take a look at elements. Okay, so this is supposed to be a transcript, and each one of these questions is going to be an input. And after the input, you're going to print the answer and then have another input. The list of correct answers, take from here. So oxygen, silicon, up through hydrogen is the 10th most abundant by mass in the Earth's crust. And if we look through these programs, there's math practice is somewhat similar. So if we look at the math practice one, we could go there and run math practice. I'm going to say 5 and 6. And here there's an input statement, and it's not actually going to do anything with it, so I can just press enter and it tells me the answer. I can type something, it's just not going to use it to do anything. So the input is really there just to wait for them to type enter. And this program is similar, so you can see there's an input let's go back to our H2. We were looking at the elements. So this is going to be an input statement, and this is going to be a print. Input, print, input, print. And again, for this one, when you get it working, the spelling needs to be exactly the same. And you need to use a question mark and not a colon. Okay, and so one here, so this says aluminium, which is different than the American spelling, but that is what was used on this page, aluminium, so that's what we're using. Okay, next one is how many. So how many is a bit different. If we look at how many, you don't actually need to put in new code. This is a program that has a bunch of syntax errors. So there's a bunch of errors, and you're going to get an error when you run it. But if we look at what it's trying to do, this is the one that we demoed, where it's computing, let's see, the total number of seconds. So they enter a number of years, days, minutes, and seconds. So the total number of seconds is seconds plus the number of minutes that they typed times 60 plus the number of days that they typed times the number of seconds in a day plus the number of years that they typed times the number of seconds in a year. All right, so all the calculations here are okay. It's just there's some syntax errors that I put in there so that you can practice debugging. So if we do Python 3 how many, read the error statement and then go and fix it. So here it says line 12, it got confused. EOL while scanning string literal. So it was in the middle of scanning a string, and we can see there, that's the line number 12 that it printed. We don't have a single quote to match up with that one. You always have to have your single quote to end the string. So you would go in here, that's right here, put that in, save it, try it again, see what the error statement is. There's a handful of errors here. Now we get a different error. All right, that's how many. Okay, last one to look at. Not last one. Yeah, last one to look at. Mathoperations.py. So this is the transcript. And the one that's similar to this is the math program. This one here, math practice. So this one here asks for two numbers, enter when ready, and it prints the product. Whereas this one here, it asks for two numbers, it prints the sum. So it prints a question, which is different than this because it prints it all. This one prints all at once. Over here, it's first printing this, which is a print statement. There's an input to wait, let them wait to give the answer, and then it gives the answer. So there's an input. Let's just put it here. So this is an input. This is an input. This is a print. This is an input. This is a print. And this is a print. So you can get an empty line there by having a print like this. And then it goes to the next. So there's again a print, input, print. Okay, so that is the math one. That's all the files. It should be the case that when you have them all working, you'll get all of them saying they're correct with a 5 out of 5. All right, so get started and then let us know where you're having trouble. Good luck. Is H2, so one other note that you're doing check to see when you're correct. You still need to hand this in. So hand in H2. That submits my solution, so then the instructors have access to it. And at this point, I would get one of the programs graded as correct and the others are not yet. All right, so you do check. It'll tell you whether it thinks you're correct, and if you're looking at it and you still don't see where you're wrong, then ask. And then you still need to hand in. And right now, the hand-in date is set for January 27th.